Evening, friends. It is Monday, the 11th of May. I have five trivia questions for you, and I'm going to go through them one time through, then I'm going to go through them again, and I will give you the answers. Always feel free to comment on these posts. Please just don't put something in your comments that gives away a question or an answer. You can always share these on Facebook as well. Subscribe on YouTube at Matt Schwark, Schwarck. That way you can get a notification every day when I post a new one. I always post them around 7 o'clock Detroit time. Let's get into it. Your first question is, Hong Kong is allowed to pretty much run on its own, but what country is it actually part of? Again, Hong Kong is kind of, in a way, ran as a separate entity. However, it is part of what country? Question number two. What is the usual primary alcohol in a martini? And I say primary because there's two, but what is usually the primary alcohol ingredient in a martini, usually? Question number three. What 1981 movie starring Dudley Moore and Liza Minnelli has Dudley Moore set up in a marriage that he doesn't want to get into, and he falls in love with Liza Minnelli anyway? They did a remake of this movie in 2011 starring Russell Brand. Again, what 1981 movie starring Dudley Moore has him set up in a marriage that he doesn't want to get into? He's supposed to get married, and he ends up falling in love with Liza Minnelli. And then they did a reboot of this movie in 2011, but this time the main character was played by Russell Brand. What is that movie? Question number four. Which of the Earth's poles has the colder average temperature? Which of the poles, north or south, is cooler on average? I always thought they were about the same, but I looked it up, and that's not the case. So this one you got 50-50 chance. And then question number five. In World War II, there was something known as the Corn Belt Fleet. And it consisted of the USS Sable and USS Wolverine. And they were ships that were converted to what type of ships that planes take off and land on, and in which of the Great Lakes did they do these exercises? So this is a bonus question if you want to use one of those as a bonus. Again, it's a wordy question, so let me say it again. In World War II, there was something called the Corn Belt Fleet. It consisted of the USS Sable and USS Wolverine. What kind of ships were they converted to on which planes can take off and land? And in which of the Great Lakes did these exercises take place? You can use either of those as your bonus point. All right, let me go back through. Question number one. Hong Kong is allowed to pretty much run on its own, but what country is it actually part of? The correct answer is China. Hong Kong is part of China. Question number two. What's the usual primary alcohol ingredient in a martini? The correct answer is it's usually gin. You can do vodka martinis. I believe James Bond does vodka martinis. And then there's also, I believe, vermouth in a martini. But the primary alcohol, the answer I'm looking for, is gin. Question number three. I said there was a movie came out in 1981 starring Dudley Moore. And he's in an arranged marriage, and he doesn't want to get into it. And it's a marriage of two really wealthy families, and it's a comedy. And they redid it in 2011 with Russell Brand as the starring character. I asked you what's the name of that movie. Correct answer is Arthur. Arthur is the correct answer. Yesterday was Mother's Day, and it made me think of it, and my mom used to really like that movie, and I did too, so I watched it this morning. So the movie's Arthur. Question number four. Which of the Earth's poles has the cooler average temperatures? The correct answer is the South Pole. The South Pole is cooler than the North Pole, as a rule. And then question number 5, the Corn Belt Fleet, which consisted of the USS Sable and Wolverines, they were ships that were converted into what kind of ships used for practice with airplanes and in which of the Great Lakes? The correct answers to those are those exercises took place in Lake Michigan, and they were aircraft carriers, obviously, if they had the airplanes landing and taking off. So they were aircraft. They were converted ships. They were Great Lakes ships, I think, actually, and they were converted to be aircraft carriers, so the planes could practice landing and taking off on them and whatnot. And that took place in Lake Michigan. There's only 5, so you had a 1 in 5 chance on that one. Okay, my friends. Also, really quick, I wanted to mention this, and my friend Tawanda Westerfield, hey T, she put me onto this today. Tomorrow, so the 12th, so it's a Tuesday, the Thunderbirds and the Blue Angels are doing their flyover of the Detroit area. You can look online of the flight path, and of course they fly over Ann Arbor, Detroit, and they're actually going to be coming pretty close to here in Lake Orion. I think they're turning around right around Troy and Rochester. So you bet I'm going to be out there, and I'm going to try to see it tomorrow morning. But I think they go by Lake Orion at like 10:30 or 11 or something like that. Look online because the flight path and the times are on there. So anyway, I just wanted to pass that along because that's going to be super cool. Till I see you tomorrow, be safe and be nice. I'll talk to you then.